Hello and welcome to a brand new season of Two Up Top, brand new season for the Premier League. So I'm Cotton here today with Alex, and we're going to go and preview the first weekend's games, and also we're going to have a look at the teams and their chances, signings, what they need to do, what they don't need to do. So I think without further ado, we're just going to go straight into it, and we're going to start with Arsenal.
Yeah, so as many of you know, I'm an Arsenal fan. So I mean, I'll try not to be as biased as as I normally am. But Arsenal, they've made a couple of signings this transfer window. I suppose the main one so far would be Gabriel, which is coming from Lille, which is your central defender. I think that's one area that Arsenal tried to target in this transfer window. Saliba's come back from loan. We signed him last summer. And Pablo Mari was also confirmed as being signed as well. They signed Willian on a free, which I'm guessing they were looking at to try and improve their creativity. There was a couple of times last season when Arsenal kind of looked lost when they were playing against a deep block. Not all teams are going to come out and attack Arsenal, are they? So no. Certainly they're encouraging signs. Under Mikel Arteta, he seemed to get a better tune out of the players. Ended with the FA Cup win, and then with the Community Shield, obviously being beaten Liverpool on penalty. So we'll be looking to see if they can carry on that resurgence. I do have a sort of a concern midfield-wise. I don't think we've got enough goal threat for midfield. You can see what Bruno Fernandes did for Man United in that regard. It just completely changed you as a team. And I think there's an over-reliance on Aubameyang to score the goals. I don't know if there's going to be enough threat from elsewhere. I think Pepe, if he to justify his fee, he really needs to step up this year, especially 100%. After being the amount that we spent on him. Second season in the league, he should be more accustomed to the pace and the physicality of it. So those would be concerns for me if Arsenal really are to get back in the Champions League, which I think they have the potential to do.
Yeah,
but they need to get goals from elsewhere rather than just Aubameyang.
Honestly, I think the signings have been good ones. Willian, I know. I think if you watch our award show before he even left Chelsea, I said he's been so underrated for the last few years. So that's a great pickup for free. Saliba coming back, it's only a good thing. I think he's developed while he's been out on loan. Gabriel coming in, obviously he was quite sought after. And I think you're strengthening the right places.
Yes.
The striker situation is a tough one because you can't really go and buy another one while you've still got Aubameyang and Lacazette.
Yeah.
So one of them would need to go before you bring someone in. Lacazette, does he do enough? Different story for a different day. But like you said, with the FA Cup win, Charity Shield, no, it's Charity Shield, but it's still beating Liverpool. Honestly, I think it's starting to look all right and quite bright to be an Arsenal fan at the minute. I mean,
definitely,
you've had a lot worse times over the last few years, and I think it's looking bright.
I summed up when I had a conversation with my brother of all people, and I said this is possibly the most excited I've been going into a season as an Arsenal fan in God knows how long. I reckon in over a decade even, because there was a long part of the last Wenger's reign where it was just like, it's just going to be the same old stuff. I almost said a swear word then. But yeah, it's the same old stuff year after year. And under Emery, it just felt the same. But this time it feels like there's a bit of optimism. So we'll see. They made a couple of key staff changes as well. So there's definitely something happening. Just there's a few more bits I think we need to do before we can actually say Arsenal come back. Okay,
quickly before we move on. Season expectations, where do you think Arsenal will be looking to finish?
Certainly above 8th than when we finished last year. I reckon top 6 is a minimum for Arsenal. And I think if they do make another signing, especially midfield, I reckon that they're definitely targeting Champions League positions. But I know I said yesterday on our show that Arsenal would finish 4th. I think that was a bit me being a bit biased. So I reckon Arsenal will be in that fight between 4th, 5th and 6th for me. I think that's where we'll be looking at.
And where do you think they will finish?
As it stands right now, if we don't make any other signings or nobody leaves, I reckon we'll finish 5th.
Okie dokie. I can see Arsenal, I'll say 5th. I don't know about top 4. Top 4 is going to be so contested this season. It's just going to be, we'll have to wait and see. Moving on, we are looking at Aston Villa.
So Aston Villa, so they've made a couple of signings. They've kind of made a couple of waves, haven't they, so far this transfer window?
They have.
I mean, the biggest one was Ollie Watkins, who's come in as a striker, and we all know that Villa's strikers haven't been the best certainly last season. Wesley was he was a terrible signing, or he certainly didn't live up to the bidding that he made, the amount of money they signed on him. And Samatta, I mean, you could say, what's the matter with him?
Yeah,
he can't score, can he? There's a problem, especially when you got try not to spit your water out there. But you got Jack Grealish, who, as far as I'm aware, he created the most chances in the Premier League, or he was certainly in the top 5 last year, and they did not capitalise on all the good work that he did. And he just recently made his England debut as well, which is long overdue, I think. They've been linked with Josh King as well. So certainly whether they go for him now that they've signed Ollie Watkins, I don't know. I know they signed Matty Cash from Nottingham Forest as well. Hopefully that would provide a bit of squad depth to their team. And it looks like they haven't signed as many players this time. I mean, they signed a lot of players last year, which takes its time to gel, doesn't it? And they have been, according to reports, agreed a deal with Arsenal to sign Martinez.
Oh yeah, I saw. Yeah, apparently that's pretty much wrapped up this morning, isn't it?
Which, if that does go over the line and that does go through, I mean, I think it's quite a big loss for Arsenal. I think it's a great signing for Villa. If that going forwards, if he can carry on his form that he showed over when he stepped in for Leno, then I definitely think Villa have got one of the better goalkeepers in the Premier League in Martinez, if he can carry on his form. So they've made signings in the right areas again. Like after you were saying Arsenal did, I think Villa have as well. It's just whether these Ollie Watkins capitalise and score some goals as well as the players they have already. And that's going to be their main challenge, I think.
I think Villa, as much as Ollie Watkins is a very good signing, it's very tough for players to step up from the Championship to the Premier League and instantly hit the ground. Villa need some old heads in there. Like, Watkins is a great deal, but I'd have been looking around. I know this probably way out of their league, but Cavani was on a free. Someone like that wouldn't necessarily play every game, but just you do need a proven goal scorer and someone with a track record.
I'm going to ask that about Cavani. I haven't seen him gone to anybody.
Is
he still available?
He was going to Benfica and it fell through, but I haven't heard anything since.
So he obviously is still out there. And I agree. They do need a bit of experience. Ollie Watkins, is it too big a jump, especially at the amount of money they paid for him? But yeah, that would be my main concern. Is are Aston Villa going to score enough goals again to stay in? Because they only just stayed up, didn't they? So
Aston Villa, what do you think their seasonal expectations will be?
I think they'll be aiming for 17th.
Yeah.
So you have to. You've got to try and stay in the Premier League to establish yourself, and then you can look at clubs like Burnley to go from there. But I think they'll be. That's where they'll finish. I think they'll finish 17th for me, Villa. I think they'll just stay up.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll finish bang on 17th, but I think looking at the rest of the teams, I think they should just be about safe. Don't be surprised if they are in a relegation scrap, but I think they should just be safe. So let's move on to Brighton.
So Brighton, second season under Potter. Okay, so they should be more familiar with how he operates as a manager, how he wants them to play, and they've lost Aaron Moy. Okay, so I don't know if he had too much influence over their season last year. I don't recall him playing too much, but he certainly moved on. I think he's gone to China. Yeah. So he's certainly gone to earn a bit of money there, and you can't really blame him. Anthony Knockaert, I know he was on loan at West Brom, was it last year, or was it Fulham? I think it was
Fulham, I think.
And he's actually now permanently left to go to Fulham as well. They got £10 million for him, which is not a bad bit of business for Brighton. They've brought in a couple of centre backs. I've got to be honest with you, I haven't really heard of them, but they have come over. Both of them have come over from Holland. One from Ajax, and they brought in Adam Lallana, didn't they?
Yeah,
on a free.
That's a good bit of business.
That's a good bit of business, and he's experienced as well. He's played in the Premier League. He's got a lot of experience playing in England. Or he's only played his career in England. So England cap is what England. Well, he's been capped for England as well. So that's a good pickup for him. Hopefully he can put his injury issues behind him. Now, do they have enough quality, though, to stay up? Is the overall quality, I should say. Is my concern.
I think they might be in for a tough time this season. Again, I think everyone around them has really strengthened. even the teams that have come up, which we'll get to in a bit, they look like very good prospects. I think Brighton, this might be the season that finally catches up with them.
I think so, especially when you look at Bournemouth. They look like they got relegated out of nowhere, but with the bad recruitment and teams around them strengthening, they just didn't they? And I think potentially this is going to be happening to Brighton. I mean, they got so many plaudits for playing great football under Potter, being innovative. But you look at their results. Other than a couple of good results, they did the double over Arsenal last year. I think that was the highlight of their season, really, wasn't it? But they were far too inconsistent.
Yeah.
I think.
Also,
I don't know if they're gonna stay up.
I just looked through the squad back to front, and I don't know if I see much standout quality or someone that will drag them through. Lallana might come in and spearhead it. I don't know. It could be, but
But you can't rely on Glenn Murray anymore because he's gone to Watford, isn't he? 36-year-old Glenn Murray is not going to be there to save Brighton. So
Brighton, seasonal expectations. Do you think they're looking to just stay up?
Again, just to stay up, I think. But I don't think they will. I actually think they'll be one of the teams that will get relegated this year.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think they will be looking to stay up, and I think they probably won't. So moving on, we will have a look at Burnley.
So Burnley, as far as I'm aware, they've not done really any major transfer business. They picked up a backup goalkeeper to Pope, but other than that, they haven't really they haven't bought anybody in of note. Jeff Hendricks left on a free, went to Newcastle. Obviously, Joe Harty went to Spurs, so that was just why they brought in their backup goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Sean Dyche, I think I've been one of people in the past kind of questioning his quality, but I think his record speaks for himself. A lot of other plaudits went to managers like Eddie Howe. A lot of plaudits going at the moment to Chris Wilder for his work, and rightly so. But Sean Dyche, with the team that he has at Burnley, you would look at that team and the squad of players and think, well, where's the real standout quality there? But they're a proper team, aren't they?
Yeah, they always seem to get it done.
Organised. He knows how to get the best out of them. And I think he deserves a lot of credit, Sean Dyche.
I've said it a few times. Sean Dyche for England. It can't be any worse than that Southgate misery that we've been suffering.
Please don't get me started on Gareth.
We won't. That'll be another day, another show.
I've got a lot of time for Burnley. It's good. They're a proper club. I feel like Burnley, one of those proper football clubs. You hear about from the 1950s and 60s, and they've had some great players who played for England and obviously for Burnley in the past. So I think they'll consolidation again, mid-table. That's where I'm looking at. They'll be hard to beat. They won't score a lot of goals, but they won't concede a lot of goals either. And I think they'll be comfortable again this year.
I can see them wanting to finish top 10 is what I can see, and I could probably see it happening. That's
probably where they're going to try and aim for. But a lot of other clubs have strengthened, haven't they?
Yeah. So. Speaking of clubs strengthening, we will move on to Chelsea.
Chelsea, yeah. So this Chelsea, I think, are going to be one of the teams to watch next year, mainly because it could either go one of two ways for me. It can either go spectacularly well, or it can just go out in flames and Lampard sacked mid-season and you get the usual Chelsea implosion that all the players don't want to play for them. So it's going to go either way for me. I don't think they're just going to be like one of those clubs that are just kind of just go about their business, because I don't think it ever happens like that at Chelsea, does it?
I can honestly really see them being title contenders this year. And
they really could. The quality they brought in. I mean, listen to these names: Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, Ben Chilwell, Hakim Ziyech, and then they've got Thiago Silva and Malang Sarr on a free. Now, that is great transfer business. I mean, they spent 200 million to do so, but Havertz is probably the most exciting German prospect to come out of Germany for a while, yeah. For a while.
Yeah.
Timo Werner, he scored a lot of goals last year for Leipzig. Ben Chilwell, again, England international, possibly England's starting left back, maybe I'd say. And then Hakim Ziyech, he was one of Ajax's best players in the Champions League. Certainly the run they had a couple of years ago.
Was it not last season before when he's embarrassed Real Madrid?
Exactly,
he was just on a crazy tear up.
It was. And when you combine that with the players that they've already got there, then you'd think, wow, this Chelsea's mean business. However, it looks like they are going for a brand new attack pretty much, because three of those purchases are going to be in the front four positions, however they play. Pulisic, I think, is a great player, actually. I've been impressed with him since he come in. So he would look to be getting some game time. Who are they going to play as a striker? Is it going to be Timo Werner, or is it going to be Tammy Abraham, or is it going to be Oli Giroud?
Giroud is off to Juventus.
Is he actually?
Off to Juventus,
okay, right. So do I take out Giroud then? Which that's a great pickup for Juventus, by the way. My problems with Chelsea actually lie with, are they just going to be too open? Does Lampard coach them and play in the style that just leaves them far too open for teams to just pick them off?
And you've still got Kepa in goal.
And
backline. And the thing is, the backline wasn't getting any younger anyway. Azpilicueta and Alonso aren't getting any younger. Add into the mix a 36-year-old Thiago Silva. Like you said, I think it's either going to go one or two ways. If Chelsea aren't pushing for the title or aren't in the top four by Christmas,
I think Lampard's getting
sacked. I think he will. I think there'll be so much weight on his shoulders this season.
Especially when you consider the amount of money that they've spent.
Yeah. Right, so seasonal expectation for Chelsea.
Title challenge.
Yeah.
They'll get top four for me. I think they'll finish fourth.
Yeah.
Mainly because it's still, as I say, because they brought in all these players, especially attacking wise, they're going to have to take a little bit of time to gel. Good players play well with good players, don't get me wrong, but it's still, players need that time to play together to know how they move, how they work off the ball, exactly what who likes what. And it's going to take Frank Lampard a few months to work out who his best 11 is as well, isn't it? So he's going to be chopping and changing. Injuries hit. So Chelsea, for me, should be aiming to title challenge, certainly get closer to Liverpool, Man City. That's without doubt. Whether they can do it, I don't know. I think they'll finish fourth.
I'm going Chelsea top three.
Okay.
I can see them doing some real damage this year. A team that I can't really see doing any damage this year. Crystal Palace.
Yeah. So they've only bought in that. I don't know how you say his name. Is it Eze from QPR?
Oh yeah.
Eberchi Easy, I think that's how
Easy.
I do apologise if you're watching. I've butchered your name, but he's brought in as an attacking midfielder, so he's looking to provide a bit of creativity, try and take some of the burden off Wilfried Zaha, because I think we can kind of agree there they've got an over reliance on him.
I'm shocked that he's still there. To be perfectly honest.
Well, I am too, but that just goes to show that Palace don't have to sell, and they can say, look, if you want him, you're going to have to pay us a lot of money to get him, and no one has so far done that.
Palace are another team. I look back to front and I look at the squad, and I don't think there's too much standout quality other than Zaha.
Jordan Ayew he comes up with the important goal, and we've Gav and I, who's not on the show today, but we've made the point that he actually, when he does score, it's very important goals, and he's won them a lot of points over the last season or so. So, and
Batshuayi's gone back on loan.
He has done.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how that is. I mean, has he spent any time at Chelsea at all? He just seems to spend every single season out on loan.
So, do you know what? Sometimes I watch him play and I think, do you know what? He could turn out to be pretty good, and then I see him again and I think maybe not.
Yeah.
But
attitude issues there. But the one thing that Palace has to be wary of is they after the break, and they came back from the COVID break, I think they win a game? I don't think they did, because if they did,
they had a very bad run of form.
They just dipped, didn't they?
Yeah.
Massively off the face of the earth, and they've got to try and stop that slide. And whether these few weeks break have done that, who knows?
So Crystal Palace seasonal expectations. Mid-table. I can see themselves being embroiled in a relegation scrap early on, not towards the end of the season. I think they'll end up finishing lower half of the second half of the table. But I don't think it's going to be a plain sailing season for them.
No,
I think they're going to struggle.
I think they could be. They definitely could be in trouble, but they'll be aiming just to finish like they do every year, between 9th and 13th.
Yeah. Right now, I am very much looking forward to discussing this.
Yes,
Everton.
Do you know what? Me too. And I mentioned about Chelsea being one of the more interesting teams to watch this year. Definitely count Everton in this as well.
Yeah.
Because we have this segment on to up top. What are Everton? Because we never seem to know what they are, but they have made some really astute signings as far as I'm concerned, and I think you've mentioned this in the group 100%. Chat as well, that you think so as well. Carlo Ancelotti's making some moves, and he's using his reputation to bring in players that I think who's played with him before.
Yeah.
Alan from Napoli.
Honestly,
I know you like. I know
love
you
him.
like him.
I think it's baffling that he's gone to Everton. I wanted him a year or two ago when we were looking at we needed a ball-winning midfielder. I think it was just before we bought Fred. And I wanted Alan. I think at that time he was one of the best ball winners in Europe. And they've got him for about 20 million. So even if it doesn't really work out for him, what's 20 million?
And they then compounded that by signing Decore as well, which he's played in the Premier League. He was Watford's probably best player, I think, and that's a great signing as well.
I mean, if Everton have like a double pivot of Alan and Decore, that is no one's getting past.
They replaced Garner Gay.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, twice over.
And now they've then had James Rodriguez on top of that for a free. Okay, yeah, he may not have worked out at Real Madrid. He may not have worked out at Bayern Munich, but that's still a.
Was it free? I thought they still paid 20 mil or something.
According to Transfermarkt, which is where I got my information from, and I find they're quite a reliable source of information. They've got it down as a free transfer. So
okay, fair enough.
Please, someone in the comments or someone who watched this, correct me if I'm wrong. But even if they did spend some money on it, it's still a great pickup. For Everton.
This is a Falcao to United situation. It could work out very well, and if it doesn't, I mean, they've not really lost too much. I know people bang on about wages and whatnot, but it's
Everton have got quite big financial backing.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they
do. Usmanov, who was formerly invested in Arsenal, obviously bringing his money over to Everton now, and you've got to think with the players that they've got, right? Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah,
you've got Adina, I think he's a good player as well. Seamus Coleman, I'm not such a fan of, but again, he's a solid Premiership player. They've got some players there, and I think Ancelotti's recognised in today's game, you need to have a good midfield, certainly a midfield that can shield the back line. And I would be, if I was an Everton fan, I'd be excited about this season coming up. I'd be looking for us, Everton, to be pushing that top six as close as possible.
Yeah, I think they're going to be Everton this season will be aiming for Europa League football. I think.
Yes. Personally, I think they'll finish above Wolves this year.
Yeah, I think Wolves are going to have
a bit of a
tough season.
Yeah, I think Wolves could certainly. Well, I mean, we'll get to Wolves when we speak to them later. But I think Everton will actually finish. This is going to be a big call above Wolves, and I think they'll finish above Leicester as well.
Ooh. So Everton top six is what we're looking at. Now we're going to move on and look at newly promoted Fulham.
I think it's going to be quite bleak for Fulham this year. They signed Anthony Knockaert. Okay, they've signed him for £10 million. Now he's a good player on his day. How often is his day? We don't know.
He's very much a Championship player.
They've got Harrison Reed as well. And they've got some guy called Kenny Tete as well. So they signed some defensive some defensive depth, and they've obviously got a right winger there in Knockaert. This is going to be Scotty Parker's first season managing in the Prem. I'm quite happy. I'm quite looking forward to that. Scotty Parker, I thought he was a decent player, and it's good to see a former Fulham player actually managing a club there. Seems to be all the rage these days with clubs now in the top division. But ultimately, I just think that there's just not enough quality there for them to stay up, and I think they're actually going to finish rock bottom as far as I'm concerned. Really, I don't see it there. I mean, they came up through the playoffs, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they made a bit of a late charge to get into the playoffs, as far as I'm aware, and they carried that momentum through. Now, are they going to be able to ride that crest of a wave going into the season? I don't think so. Sorry, Fulham fans, I can't see it.
I can't really see. Again, I know I've said this for a few teams, but looking back to front, I can't see too much quality and depth. I'm really looking forward to seeing Big Mitro back in the Prem because I absolutely love Mitrovic. I love him. Other than that, who is your man? Who's their captain? Kearney, is it Scottish? Yeah, Kearney. Yes. Kearney's half decent. I wouldn't be surprised if Fulham go down. I wouldn't be surprised if he stays up. But yeah, Fulham, I have to tend to agree with you that it's not going to look particularly.
Big Mitrovic, always a good pickup on fantasy football.
Someone. Well, it depends because of cards.
He's cheap, but I again completely agree. I just can't see it for Fulham, unfortunately.
Another newly promoted team that will be looking to make some waves are Leeds United.
Again, count this in with Everton and Chelsea. I'm really looking forward to seeing Leeds this year. Finally back in the Premier League after 16 seasons, 17 seasons. And personally, I think the top Premiership or the top division in England is always better when Leeds are involved. I think they've got a passionate fan base. A member of the top team, not so much, he hasn't done so much for us recently, but Adam the Greek Carlisle, we all know his passion for Leeds. He always seems to bring up a reference at some point. It comes back to it, but Bielsa, I think that's the main thing. How is it going to be interesting when he comes up against the big sides? How is he going to set up Leeds? Because that to me is the most fascinating part about this whole thing, about this Leeds project.
Yeah,
is how he's going to be against other managers, because he's got such a huge reputation. Pep cites him as someone who's influenced his managerial style.
Yeah,
and I can imagine he's done that for a lot of other managers around the globe. They signed Rodrigo, didn't they, from Valencia?
Yeah.
They signed him for quite big money.
He only scored 4 goals for Valencia last season.
That's the thing.
And the season before, it was only something like 11, 12 as well. So,
and I think Leeds fans will tell you that their main problem the last couple of seasons has been scoring goals, because if they hadn't had that problem, they probably would have been in the Premier League already by this point. So that's going to be a story point for them.
Yeah,
they signed Helder Castilla, didn't they? Helder Costa now on a permanent after being on loan from Wolves last year, and they've signed a centre half from Freiburg called Robin Koch. So again, they've gone for a bit of squad depth there, but Calvin Phillips is coming back from being included in the England squad. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on him. He's a player with some potential.
Yeah, Yorkshire Pirlo.
The Yorkshire Pirlo. And they've been linked with Julian Draxler as well. So, I mean, if they can pick him up, that would be a great signing for Leeds, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that would be... and I mean this with no offence to Leeds. I mean, that would be Draxler pretty much the hype surrounding him done by then. I mean, the teams he's been at and not really found his feet at any of them. PSG picked him up, and he's been to say he's been a bit part player would be kind to him. But it might be a good fit for Leeds. He might come in. He's not really a winger. He's more of a central midfielder, attacking midfielder.
He could be one of those players where he wants to be the big fish in a small pond, and being at PSG can't be that. So going to a place like Leeds, he could certainly try and fulfill that.
Leeds is still a pretty big club.
Leeds are a big club, but obviously they're not
before I get attacked. So Leeds seasonal expectations.
I think their season. I reckon Leeds would be aiming for at least a mid-table finish this year. I reckon. And I think they can certainly do that. I personally have them probably finishing anywhere between 12th and 9th, I think, depending on how injuries go and if they sign anybody else. That's where I'm looking at.
I was going to say, I think I can see them hovering around between 10 to 15.
Okay, yeah.
First season back, it might not be as straightforward as they would like.
Yeah.
Leicester.
This is a difficult one. Now, I've already mentioned how I think Everton are going to finish above Leicester this year, and mainly because I think Leicester have been a bit freefall this year. In the year 2020, they've been in a bit of a freefall because they were comfortably third. They were really comfortably third, and then they just fell off the face of the planet. Vardy stopped scoring goals. James Maddison got injured, lost a bit of form. Tillemans, again, I think the same could apply for him, because I was looking at Leicester's midfield earlier in the season last year, and you were looking at their midfield and think, that's a really good midfield. Indeed, Tillemans and Maddison, 6, 8 and 10, perfect balance. And Vardy was scoring goals and they were flying. And then all of a sudden the wheels started to come off a little bit, didn't it? So have they done enough to, over this break, to reset and go again? We all know Brendan Rodgers is a good manager when they're on the front foot and they're playing well, but when things start to go against him a little bit, injuries, loss of form, does he have enough about him to turn him over or turn that slide around? They've only made one signing. They've signed the right back from Atalanta for 21 million. Tim Castagne.
Yeah.
And obviously Ben Chilwell's left.
Which is a crazy one, because they... who's their right back? Ricardo Pereira. Yeah, he's probably one of the best right backs in the league. Definitely up there with, it's probably him, Trent, and Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah.
Leicester, I think they rely way too heavily on Jamie Vardy's goals.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Can he keep doing it? He's 34 now? He's
33, 34, yeah.
So can he keep doing it?
Jose Perez doesn't chip in with enough. And I know a lot of the time he does get utilised as a winger, so it's not necessarily his fault, but there's no one else chipping in with the goals.
Exactly.
I do think they will struggle.
I think they have a regression this year. It's funny you mentioned about a winger because they have been linked with David Brooks and Dwight McNeil. Both of those good signings.
I don't think they'll other than that, but again, the race for top 4 it's so tight knit. Even the race for top 6 is crazy.
It's difficult, yeah.
So I think Leicester top 10.
Top 10, right?
Speaking of top,
last season's champions Liverpool. Cotton.
I really think Liverpool not so much going to struggle. I think it won't be as plain sailing as the last season. Not making any signings or any notable signings is such a strange one when everyone else around you is strengthening. And you look at Chelsea, you look at City, even you look at Arsenal, United, they're bringing people in. And to just rest on your laurels, I know they've got such a good squad, but it's a starting 11. The minute anyone dips out, there's no depth.
That's it. And Klopp's come out and said that they can't spend money like Chelsea, which seems a bit strange considering the amount of money that they've made. They would have made winning the Premier League and the Champions League and the players that they've sold as well. You would think, well, how can Liverpool not spend the money there? So could they be stale? Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think they not trying to push on or double down on your quality is crazy. Even when last season, the first half of the season, when it got to about Christmas, and it still wasn't a done deal. And I even said then, I said, if Liverpool went out right now and brought a world-class centre-back to go next to Van Dijk, just doubled down on it, and got another striker, because I don't want to hear anything about Firmino being a false 9 registrar in the kitchen spatula. Like he doesn't score enough goals for Liverpool. So if they went out and brought a world-class striker or a world-class 9 and a world-class defender and just doubled down and really just they could put a stranglehold on the league for the next few years. So why they're not doing it, I don't know.
I have no idea.
They haven't had a problem in the past spending money on Carroll, Downing, Voronin. Like they've brought some real dross. So whether they're trying to just learn from the mistakes or not, but they should be looking to buy. And I know obviously they're looking to bring in Thiago, which any club in Europe should be looking to bring in Thiago, especially for the money he's being touted at. So Thiago would be a good signing for him, but they have so many players in the similar position. They've got so many players that play that role. So he would just be a luxury.
Well, it'd be they're signing into an area of strength for them. So it's as you say, centre half and striker is where they should be looking at. And I've mentioned it on the show before. If you really want to make a statement of intent, they should go to Spurs and say, how much do you want for Harry Kane? Because Harry Kane would be an immediate upgrade on Firmino. He's got a great link-up play and he'll score you goals. And I think that would be a perfect striker for Liverpool. Season expectations?
They'll be looking to win the title again.
Will they do that?
Each way. I'm saying that Liverpool will either finish second or win the league, which sounds silly that I'm saying that they need to strengthen. But if they'd have brought a few players, I would have instantly said they'd have won the league. Yeah,
that's it, so, without question. Because I think we all were saying last year, without question, Liverpool were going to win the league. And look how much they won the league by, didn't they? So.
Just quickly before we move on to City, Liverpool were a bit touch and go towards the end of the season after lockdown. Well, just before lockdown, they got beat by Atletico and Watford.
Yeah.
And then when they came back, I mean, it could just been because they were 20 points clear or whatnot, and they took the foot off the gas. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But moving on to their title contenders, I'd imagine Manchester City.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on Man City then? And try not to be as scathing being a Man United fan.
I think that after last season, the way they went out in Europe, the way they performed in the league, Pep will not be standing for it whatsoever.
He shouldn't be.
No,
they shouldn't be.
I can see City just bouncing back and absolutely going on an absolute tear up this season. I can see them really, 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 really pushing on.
Are you not concerned with the leadership that's left the club in the last couple of years, and in Company and David Silva now, and not really being replaced?
Yeah,
Leroy Sané's left as well to go to Bayern Munich.
It's the Sané thing that's been going on for ages. Again, I've said it a couple of times. There is something wrong with his attitude because he was sent home from the World Cup a few years ago. Pep didn't play him for the first 6 months of that season. He kept dropping him. I think that Leroy Sané, there is something underlying there. Now he's gone back to Germany. It might prove
could be just homesick.
It could have just been that. Sané going isn't a huge loss for him because he didn't play that much last season. The leadership thing, I think they brought in Rodri with the intentions that after a few seasons he'll step up. Obviously they signed Ake.
Yeah. Is that a good signing for the amount of money that they spent on him? I mean, he was relegated with Bournemouth.
It's a quota signing, isn't it? Because he's technically homegrown now.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll jump straight into the first team either, because obviously he's left-footed. Laporte's left-footed. You don't want to be playing two left-footed centre-backs.
No.
I think Ake coming in more paves the way for, say, someone like Stones going, I think. And they're still looking at Koulibaly, and they're still looking at other alternatives, and I would not be surprised if Man City sign.
I'm surprised that they haven't signed another centre half already.
Yeah, well, to be fair,
they're not short of a few quid or two.
The transfer window is a lot longer at the minute.
It's going to October, isn't it?
Yeah, so I wouldn't imagine. I wouldn't imagine they won't sign anyone. But Manchester City seasonal expectations.
Title. For me, that is it, isn't it? That should be their seasonal expectations every year now. With the backing that they've got, the players that they've got, the manager they've got, it has to be the title.
Yeah.
I don't think they will.
Do you not?
No. I still think, as we stand right now, if nothing changes, no, because defence is still a concern. Midfield is still a concern because they were at times overrun in midfield last year. Look what Lyon did to them in the Champions League as an evidence of that. And Ederson, I thought he was a really good goalkeeper, but there were times last year, I'm looking at you for that goal he's conceded against Spurs, Lamela, where he literally was over by one side of the post, and Lamela just passed it in from about 30 yards out. There's been a couple of times this season where he's been a bit dodgy, so if things stand as they are, I don't think so.
I am always screaming in the group chat about Ederson's positioning for goals. Like you said, he's always a step too far over. And I'll tell you what, he has done a lot this year. And
he's just come flying out.
Neuer gets caught out with this a lot, but I don't think anyone really picks up on it because it's not in a YouTube compilation. But the amount of times Neuer and Ederson come out to clear a ball and just pass it straight to someone, Scott McTominay. Yeah. There's been a couple of instances where
he's done it a couple of times against Liverpool. Salah's done it as well. Yeah.
So it's my prediction for Man City. I think they're going to win the league. Okay. I think after last year they'll be hurting. They'll be wanting to bounce back, and I think they'll win the league.
Right. Well, next we've got, and I think this is what we've all come for, really, and. Manchester United. Now, they finished the season strong last year, certainly in the Premier League. Bruno Fernandes has definitely revitalised them. Cotton, hand over to you. I'm a resident Man United fan.
This is going to be a very, very long and difficult season ahead for us, I think.
Okay. Why do you think that is?
Why do I think that?
I think there's a lot of optimism. I certainly think, getting the feeling, there's a lot of optimism surrounding.
There's a lot of optimism, and there's a lot to be looking forward to. But having said that, this season we're now in the Champions League as well, so that's added games, added importance, because obviously even though we have the Europa League, sometimes we send the kids out and whatnot.
Yeah.
The lack of signings is worrying, and I know that sounds stupid considering we always spend a lot or we buy a lot of players, but we haven't brought in the right areas, which is the problem. So this transfer window, I can still see a few players leaving. Smalling's going to Roma. I can see Dan James might go out on loan, but only signing Van der Beek, which is a great signing, great.
I think that's a
great signing, great
pickup
business
as well, because what, he's £35 million, is it? Yeah.
But again, unless the Sancho deal happens, which I still think it will, I just think it will get dragged out. We still have a few areas where we can't rely on kids all season.
Yeah.
Martial is...
It's a huge ask to ask Greenwood to play 50 plus games.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And again, with everyone strengthening around us, I don't know. Obviously, it'd be interesting to see the fight between De Gea and Henderson. The way I'd handle it is I'd start De Gea at the start of the season. He's my number one keeper.
Well, he should be as well, because he's been your number one keeper for the last 10 years.
He now has in the back of his mind, and if I was Ollie, I'd say to him, we've got a very young, hungry, decent goalkeeper. The minute you make a massive clanger, you're out, he comes in, and he's in until the same happens. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to see whether Martial can carry on scoring. I know he scored for France the other day. I'm looking forward to that, but I still think there's certain areas where we just lack enough quality to really push for it. I mean, if you compared our squads to Liverpool, City's, and Chelsea's right now, you'd probably have to say we have the weakest of the four. To be honest, to be perfectly honest, and it's pretty brutal, but I think that's the case. Seasonal expectations, top 4.
Yeah, I think from an outsider's point of view, I think they should be looking to definitely be closing that gap between them and City and Liverpool, points wise. Whether they're going to overtake them or not, I don't know. If they sign Sancho, if you guys sign Sancho, then you definitely have to be up there with Liverpool and City, no doubt. If you don't, and your squad stays as it is right now, close the gap between them and you and them, and I think you'll finish third.
I think, honestly, top 4 is a bit of a push. It depends how we start the season, I suppose, because also we haven't had a pre-season. We've played no friendlies.
No.
We've got players that have literally just gone out and played for England, so they haven't really had a break.
Well, and you mentioned Martial playing for France.
Playing for France. I know we get an extra week off, but what's a week off when we haven't played any pre-season or whatnot? So that's another thing with the lack of signings. Going straight into the season completely cold is going to really impact us, and I don't think in a good way. So yeah, Man United top 4 is what I'd probably be looking at this season.
Okay. Newcastle then. So second season under Steve Bruce. There were the whole takeover rumours going on in the summer, which ultimately, in true Newcastle fashion, was a load of rubbish. And yeah, what are you saying about Newcastle?
Do you know what? And it's not just the United connections. Steve Bruce must be the manager in the Premier League history that gets the most flack for just doing his job. Like, fair enough, when he came in after Rafa, who was beloved and whatever. Didn't Bruce end up having a better season last season than Rafa?
I think he might have done, yeah.
It's because he's
It's
Steve,
not a sexy name.
No, he's Steve Bruce. He likes pies. He plays English football, but it gets the job done. Like, we say this all the time. Like, realistically, you look at that Newcastle squad. What are your ambitions? Because to me, finishing anything above 12, 13 for me would be a bonus.
A successful season.
Yes. So I think he gets way too much flack. They've made some pretty decent signings.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he was their player of the season. I'd be shocked if he wasn't. But Alan St. Maximan last year was
absolute baller.
Was a class
baller.
And you got to think that second season in the Prem now, he's going to be even more used to the physicality and the pace and the intensity of the Premier League. So he should be taking another step up. It looked like Almiron looked like he started to find his feet a little bit as well. Joe Linton was an absolute flop. Yep. I think he won our, was it worst signing of the season? I think so, in our awards show. So can he become a 10 goals? Because if he gets 10 goals this season, that's a big improvement on what they got on him last year. So they've certainly got players there that are interesting, but as a squad,
I don't think Joelinton will get much game time with Callum Wilson coming in.
Very true. Yeah,
I don't think.
Thank you very much. I completely forgot that he.
Well, they signed.
Got Fraser as well.
Fraser. That one. That will be left to see what happens. I think because Fraser. Everyone absolutely loved him off when he was at Bournemouth. I thought he was half decent in a half decent team.
Yeah.
Didn't like the way he dipped out on Bournemouth and
last year. Yeah.
Refused to play.
Didn't really help him out in their struggle. Yeah.
No. So I mean, we'll see what happens.
And they've been linked with Jamal Lewis, which I think would be a great.
Well, they've signed Jamal Lewis.
Have they actually signed him?
Yeah, they've signed him.
So there you go. Brilliant. That's a great signing for me. And I still can't believe no one's picked up Max Aarons. Got to be honest with you. Still playing it.
I think that's in the works. I think that deal. There's still a month left. I think someone will.
There should be a club looking to pick up a great right back. There's your man.
So Newcastle seasonal expectations
mid-table.
Yeah,
absolutely. They should be in that group of clubs leading the chase below. What I think will be 6th to 10th.
Yeah.
They should be in that chase, trying to get into that. But ultimately not quite being good enough.
I fully agree. Now, moving on to Sheffield United.
Chrissy Wilder's team, second season in the Prem. Cotton, what do you think?
As much as I love Chrissy Wilder, I think the honeymoon is going to be over. And I think it's going to be over in a pretty horrible way. Again, like we touched on with Leicester, the minute lockdown happened, all the momentum was taken out the sails. And they fell. They talk about free fall. They what did they go from?
Well, they were fourth
and fifth, and then
they finished 10th.
Yeah, actually free falling. Again, I know we said it when they came up that the squad, I don't think it had enough depth, and they surprised us all. Like they did. But this season, again, everyone else around them strengthening with quality, with experience, and I just can't see it.
I think if they'd been in Europe, if they'd managed to finish in European places last season, I would say that they would be favourites to get relegated.
Yeah, that'd have been too much.
That would have been too much for them. The fact that they're not in Europe does help them, okay? But will teams find them out? That's going to be it, because their team is very regimented on their system, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they all buy into what Wilder says. Can have teams now played them once and got that intel on them? Will they be able to capitalise or counteract what Sheffield United? And as you say, it looked like they were doing that.
Yeah.
In the
and the thing is,
the period of football after the break.
The thing is as well, they even when Sheffield United were winning games, they were winning them 1-0.
Yes.
You haven't got Dean Henderson anymore.
No.
And they were grinding out results. But if you look round the squad, there just wasn't enough goals. McGoldrick scored his first and second goal in the same game. 2 games before the end of the season.
Yeah.
McBurney doesn't score enough.
No.
No one in the midfield really seems to be contributing to goals.
Fleck stopped scoring as well, didn't he?
I honestly think that they could be in trouble.
Well, I think their season expectations should be finished 17th or higher this year, Sheffield United. They just need to try and stay established in the Premier League.
It sounds like we're underselling them a little bit, but I honestly think that with everyone else around them, prove me wrong. They could prove me wrong. They could go on again to just.
And we'll happily sit here and say we've been incorrect.
I'd like to see it because I like Sheffield United, but
and I would like Chrissy Wilder as well.
So what seasonal expectations?
As I say, 17th or higher.
Yeah, and I can see that being pretty much the case. Just looking at Sheffield United, it does look like they are interested in Ryan Brewster.
They trying to address the needs going forwards. Whether can a 20-year-old
again
can do that for them, who's not really played much Premier League football, has he?
No, it's all well and good looking at the future, which obviously everyone has to do, but Sheffield United kind of need someone now as well, and I don't think that's the answer. So moving on,
Southampton then. Personally, for me, Ralph Hasenhüttl is one of the better managers in the Premier League. I think that he's a really good manager. Did it over in Germany with was it Leipzig, I think it was. And then he's come over to Southampton, and that squad he inherited wasn't a great one. I think he kept him up the first season, and he bounced back from a 9-0 defeat against Leicester.
Yeah.
And they had a really good second half of the season. Their away record was one of the best ones in the league, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Cotton, what are your thoughts on Southampton in general?
My thoughts on Southampton, they're one of those teams that have a very good cohesion, very good chemistry, know each other very well. Like you said, the style of football that Hasenhüttl plays, they've got it down. I still think there could be a lot more quality running through that team. They've lost Højbjerg.
I think that's quite
That's going to be a massive loss for them. I don't really see that they've tried to replace him yet. I don't. Again, I look at their strikers. Are they good enough?
Well, Danny Ings.
Is Danny Ings going to have another 22-goal season? And if he does, will it be at Southampton?
That's it. I mean, because you look at his career to date. I mean, the most goals he ever scored in the Premier League was 10 or 11 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Which I know it was playing for Burnley, and we know Burnley's a quite more structured defensive team. Well, wait and see. I mean, Danny Ings certainly did it last year. Is it a flash in a pan? Maybe I'm tending to think that probably is, but I think he'll still get into double figures this year. It won't be 22 goals though, but he'll still get into double figures. But is that enough? Because who else scores a goal?
Exactly, no one else contributing. So, yeah, I mean, not much really to say on the Southampton front.
That Gineppo looks like he's got a bit of potential.
Yeah, but other than that, Southampton, they've not really made any waves, haven't really made any moves. Seasonal expectations?
I think lower mid-table, so we're talking like 13th to 16th, that sort of range. I think Southampton.
Yeah.
Again, just staying in the Premier League, which is what I think a lot of the clubs in the Premier League will be looking at. But there's so much money in there to stay in there that if you do drop out, it's a big loss to the club, isn't it?
Yeah. So both saying Southampton just basically trying to consolidate.
Yeah, similar to what they did last year would be successful for them.
Moving on to lack of signings.
Which is strange, considering after one win last year against Arsenal, we'd have thought they'd won the league. But Tottenham, this year's stars of All or Nothing on Amazon Prime. Colin.
Again, until they start making some signings, it's just Tottenham have a very, very good squad on paper. Very good starting 11 on paper, should I say. But
I mean, they have signed Doherty.
Yeah.
And they signed, was it Højbjerg?
Højbjerg, yeah. Højbjerg's a great signing.
Yeah.
But
are they squad players, though?
I think Højbjerg will go straight in. Højbjerg is a better defensive midfielder than Dyer. It depends if they want to play Dyer at centre-back. But Doherty's a half-decent signing. Again, it's not really making any waves. It's a very solid signing. But no striker. They haven't had a registered striker on the books since Llorente.
It's the Harry Kane effect. I mean, everyone goes on about no striker would want to go to Spurs because they know they're going to play second fiddle to Kane, but that's just a defeatist mentality.
The thing is, you won't play second fiddle because he's out for 6 months of every season.
Well, that's it. And is there a chance that he could get so comfortable that he's not pushing himself as much as he could do? Or is he? Or the other way is that because they've got such a reliance on him, he gets injured and broken down so quickly that.
Well, yeah, that's what it's been over the last few years with Tottenham and England. My worry would be is Mourinho is a very defensive-minded coach. We all know that. It's no secret. Kane likes to drop deep as it is.
Yes.
So, sometimes when he's playing for Spurs, it's like he's playing centre mid, and that's all well and good. But who's leading the line?
Well, you'd think the people running in behind should be Son and Bergwijn as well, and obviously
Lucas.
Can Dele Alli get back to the form that he showed a couple of years ago? I don't know. Has he peaked already? Again, he seemed like he was going to be an England international certainty for the next 10 years, didn't he?
Yeah.
And now that's not happening at the moment. So, and defensively, Vertonghen's gone.
Yep.
Alderweireld is not getting any younger. They've got Tanganga.
Yeah, he is good though.
He looks like he could be promising. But Aurier, okay, they signed Doherty to come in and compete at right back, haven't they?
Well, Aurier was supposed to be going AC Milan, but the deal fell through. Yeah. They're actively looking to get rid of him.
So there you go. And Lloris, is he? Again, I still think Lloris is a bit of a
suspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But it's okay because they've got Joe Hart now. So again, not much in the way of waves. I think they need signings and they need them quick.
Yeah,
Tottenham, seasonal expectations.
Well, the seasonal expectations should be top 6. 100% should be top 6. I think that they'll finish 6th, is personally for me. I think they'll squeak it just above Everton, Wolves and Leicester, I think.
Yeah, I'd say, well, to be fair, it's Tottenham, so they'll be wanting top 4, but I mean, what you want and what you get are two different things. Yeah. So I think Tottenham, yeah, I'm with you, top 6, there or thereabouts, especially if they don't make any signings. Now, West Bromwich Albion, I think they will be the first to go straight back down.
Yeah, I think so. Them and Fulham, I think they'll be cut adrift, I think.
Yeah, I think... Again, it's the recurring theme, but looking through the squad, I can't see it. I can't see where certain goals are going to come from. They're one of those teams that they seem to always do so well in the Championship. They always... Well,
they yo-yo,
they're
the yo-yo, classic
They
yo-yo
usually
club.
Storm the Championship, and then the minute they come up, it's straight back down because it's just a bridge too far. And I think that'll be the case again this year. I think the problem is the skill gap in the Premier League is tightening so much that you look at teams like Newcastle. Like let's not forget, a few years ago they were in a relegation scrap. They went down however many years ago, but look at them now. Look how much money they're spending. Look at the strength of their squad compared to everyone else. And I think the 3 teams that come up, unless they've been established Premier League teams and they've kept their stars when they've gone down, when they come up, it's a whole different kettle of fish.
Or if they have a tradition, history behind them, and they do try to sign new players, they've still got that reputation.
Basically got Leeds,
Leeds, exactly. Wolves, kind of to a lesser extent. I mean, Wolves is a bit of a unique situation where they've got an agent in their club just getting them...
Snapping up half Portugal,
basically. But... Newcastle, again, they had that history behind them, didn't they? And they had Rafa Benitez as manager. West Brom, I don't think they've got any of that. I mean, what's West Brom fans are going to come at me now. What's West Brom's history tradition? I know that they're a club in Birmingham. They might have won an FA Cup or 2, but again, I don't think they've got enough of a background or anybody there to really attract players to keep them up in the Premier League. Got players of quality anyway.
No, me either. So West Brom seasonal expectation?
Again, they'll be looking at 17th or above, but they finished 19th for me.
I think they'll go. I think they'll go down. I think they'll finish bottom. Moving on, West Ham relegated. Moving on, Wolves. No, I'm joking. Moving on, West Ham. West Ham.
Oh, West Ham. Before you go into it, I think their main problem is their fans, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, but their fans seem to have such an overrated or overinflated sense of what they are as a club.
Yeah. I think that's the London effect, I think, because obviously they look at the teams around them, Arsenal, Chelsea, and just think Spurs and think that they should be
up there with them. Yeah.
But yeah, again, and this is another one. I'm looking at the transfers. I'm looking at what moves they're making, and it's very, very dull. They're looking to lodge a bid for Tarkowski. Well, third bid for Tarkowski. I read this morning that they're looking to terminate Wilshere's contract with a year left on it. Surprise, surprise. Honestly, I look at that club and it's very bog standard. Nothing excites me. Felipe Anderson came in a few years ago and I was looking forward to that because he played very well for Lazio. He's done a few bits for West Ham.
Didn't really do anything last year though, did he?
Could he do more at a better club? Possibly.
Maybe he just wants to get out.
They splashed the cash on Sebastian Haller, who
I thought was a good signing at the time.
He was at the time. Well, I think he's had injury problems, so I won't give him too much stick. But again, just the rest of the West Ham team. Mikel Antonio was probably their standout player last season, which says a lot. They don't excite me whatsoever. Seasonal expectations?
I think they'll be looking at mid-table, I think, West Ham. But I actually think they'll finish lower mid-table.
Yeah.
16th, that sort of position.
Yeah,
16th, 15th.
14th, 15th I'm going for.
Yeah.
And if they got relegated, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't be too shocked if they did. And yeah, there you go.
And last but not least, Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Yeah, so this. I think they're a tricky one for me, but yeah, Cotton, take it away.
Again, Wolves. I don't see. They've got such a very, very good squad, but again, you look at them now compared to Chelsea, compared to United, Arsenal. You look at the people around Tottenham, the people around them that should be in and around them that have strengthened or will get their act together this season. And I think this season Wolves will not struggle, but I think they will come back to reality, sort of thing.
I think so. Again, continuing to sign players from Portugal. They signed that teenager, was it Fabio Silva from Portugal?
Yeah, he looks good though. He does. He's Football Manager wonder kid. He is. They've signed a defender from Lyon, Martial. Yeah.
Martial, is that how you say it?
Martial, yeah.
Left back. And I mean, they've still got Jimenez and Diogo Jota, who I'm a big fan of. And they got Traore, but I don't know whether Traore is a bit overrated personally.
I'm of that opinion too as well.
I know you're not such a big fan of him, but yeah, Wolves. I think they'll be in for regression this year. I know they're not in they're not in Europe, and to Top Zone, Bucky seems to think that they'll be actually finishing 5th this year. Personally, I think that their other clubs, as you say, are not going to have the same issues that they had last year. Arsenal, Spurs, mainly. I'm looking at you two. I think they'll finish above them.
Also, I will say there's still a month left of the transfer window, so we'll see if Jimenez, Traore, if those people are still there at the end of the season. Not much going on in on the Wolves front transfer wise.
No,
I don't really know if they're linked with it. They've signed Vitinha on loan from Porto, who's a Portuguese under-21 midfielder. In case you could have guessed.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, seasonal expectations for Wolves.
I think they'll be looking to do the same they did last year. I think that's what they're going to be expecting. Whether they're going to be able to do that and they'll fall just short, I think that's what will happen. They'll finish 8th, I think. Which, to be fair, is still a pretty good season.
That's the thing. Do you know what? The Wolves will become a victim of their own success because they've had a few good seasons. Like you said, 8th. If they finish 8th, it's Wolves.
Yeah,
I'd see that as a positive, but Wolves fans might not. But yeah, I will say I'm with you. 8th. 7th, 8th, 9th, there or thereabouts.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming across as really negative about Wolves, but as you said, that's a good finish for Wolves, isn't it? That's still a good season.
Yeah, 100%. So right, that was our look at the clubs. We're going to have a look quickly at the fixtures for the weekend. But before we have a look at the fixtures, if you would like to subscribe to the YouTube channel, it's there, youtube.com/topfootball.
We've got our own URL
We've got our own URL now. Yeah.
And did you know, Cotton, if you put up Top Football into Google, we come up first?
I think someone's told me that before. It might have been Gav.
I think it might be.
So just quickly looking at the fixtures for the weekend, we have the early kickoff on Saturday is Fulham at home against Arsenal. The 3:00 game is Crystal Palace at home against Southampton. Then the evening kickoff, which looks like it might be a tasty one.
And we're also doing a live watch along.
Yes, we are.
Please tune in for that.
Tune in either to the Facebook or the YouTube
or Twitter as well, Periscope.
Any
of our social media platforms.
Liverpool versus Leeds at Anfield, which
I think that's a tasty one.
That's a nice welcome to the Premier League.
It is champions of the Premier League versus champions of the Championship. That's definitely a tasty one. It's such a shame that game is going to be played with no fans there, because that atmosphere, I think, would be one of the tastiest of the season. I think. And then
a very exciting affair at 8:00 on Saturday is West Ham at home against Newcastle.
What I should say as well, football fans certainly in the UK should be happy with that. All these games in September will be shown on live across all
platforms.
BT,
Sky, and
Amazon.
BBC, and Amazon. BBC have one of the games.
I think they have one as well. Yeah, so they're going to be seen. So tune in.
You want to go with Sunday's games?
So Sunday's games, we've got 2 games. We've got West Brom versus Leicester start at 2:00, and then you've got. I think that's quite another intriguing clash. Spurs versus Everton, the 4:30 kickoff. And then Monday?
Monday, it's Sheffield United host Wolves at 6 o'clock. That's nice, 6 o'clock on a Monday fixture.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 8:15, we have Brighton hosting Chelsea.
And then you'll notice there's not all of the clubs playing, but that's because Manchester United and Man City, with their exploits in Europe, have been given obviously that extra time to. Was it 30 days? Was it from the end of those two campaigns?
Yeah, a whole extra week.
Extra week. So basically, Burnley and Villa are also victims in that because they were supposed to be playing either club. But that's your opening day of the Premier League and your preview show, should I say, of each club. Let us know what you think. Let us know in the comments. Get in touch with us via any of our social media platforms. And don't forget, go on our Twitter, follow us, retweet. There's a chance to win a shirt, which will be named. The winner will be named live on our show when we do a review show on Sunday. Make sure you subscribe to our channel as well, as you can see here, YouTube at Two at Top Football, and and also live watch along tomorrow.
Live watch along tomorrow, and we'll hopefully see you Sunday for the roundup of all of these games.
Cheerio.
So thank you very much. Cheers.